Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to dive into the core ideas from Dr. Joe Dispenza's amazing book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. Now, what if I told you that you could use your mind not just to think differently, but to literally create a new reality for yourself? Let's get into it.
So, let's just jump right in with the big one. Can your thoughts physically change your brain? I know, it sounds a little like science fiction, right? Well, there's a fascinating study in the book that answers this with a huge yes.
So check this out. The setup was pretty simple. Take a bunch of people who'd never touched a piano in their lives and see what happens to their brains after 2 weeks. The results, though, were anything but simple.
Okay, so the first three groups were pretty much what you'd expect. The people who physically practiced scales, yep, their brains changed. The ones who just noodled around or didn't play at all, no change. But group 4, oh man, this is where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. They never even touched the piano, they only thought about playing the scales.
You heard that right. Just by mentally rehearsing, their brains built the exact same neural hardware as the people who are physically practicing every day. This is the whole foundation of the book. Your thoughts alone have the power to literally rewire your brain. Dr. Dispenza calls this remembering your future.
So, if our minds are that powerful enough to build new circuits just by thinking, then why do so many of us feel so stuck in the same old patterns year after year? Well, it all comes down to your personality. And according to Dr. Dispenza, your personality is just this constant feedback loop. How you think leads to how you act, which then determines how you feel, and of course, how you feel then influences your very next thought. That cycle, that loop, is your personal reality.
You know, most of us try to change using this old model. We think about something we want, like I need to lose weight. Then we start doing new things, like dieting and exercising, hoping that eventually we'll become that new healthy person. But it almost always feels like this massive uphill battle, doesn't it?
And here's why it's so incredibly hard. You're fighting against the 60,000 thoughts you have every single day. And what's crazy is that researchers figure the vast majority of those are the exact same unconscious, automatic thoughts you had yesterday. You're basically running the same program on autopilot.
So, to break out of that autopilot mode, we have to do more than just try harder. We have to fundamentally shift our entire understanding of how reality even works. The book lays this out as a choice between two very different models of who we are.
For centuries, we've pretty much all lived by this old Newtonian model. Something outside of us has to change for us to feel different on the inside. You know, I'll feel successful when I get the promotion. But the quantum model flips that completely. It says our internal world, our thoughts and our feelings, that's the cause, and the external world is just the effect.
And this is absolutely crucial. It means you don't have to wait for success to feel successful. You don't have to wait to be in a relationship to feel loved. You generate those elevated feelings first, and that is what actually creates the change in your life.
Okay, so if our internal feelings really do create our external reality, how in the world do we actually put that into practice? Well, it takes a completely different model for change, one that taps into that same power we saw with the piano players.
So instead of thinking, then doing, to eventually be, you flip it on its head. You start with being. You decide who you want to be, and you start generating the feelings of that future person right now in this moment. That new state of being will then naturally inspire you to take the right actions, and eventually, your thoughts will just fall in line.
And this is a really important distinction. Faking it kind of implies you're just pretending. It comes from a place of lack. Becoming it is totally different. It's about embodying the emotional state of your future so fully that your body and your mind believe it's already a reality.
So how do we actually practice becoming? The number one tool the book offers is meditation. But hold on, it's probably not meditation in the way you're thinking. The original meaning of the word isn't about clearing your mind, it's about becoming familiar with a new one.
Think of meditation as your own personal rehearsal space. It's why you quiet down the outside world so you can finally observe your automatic thoughts and feelings and then consciously choose to become familiar with a brand new state of being. This is where you mentally rehearse your future, building those neural circuits before the event even happens. So where do you actually begin this whole journey of transformation? How do you really get started?
To get into the right mindset for this, I want you to think about what Michelangelo said about creating his masterpiece, David. He said the sculpture was already inside that giant block of marble. His job was just to chip away all the excess stone that was hiding it.
And it's the exact same way with you. Your ideal self isn't something you have to go out and build from scratch. It's already inside you. Your job is just to start chipping away at the layers of limiting thoughts, unconscious habits, and all those familiar feelings of the old self that are covering it up.
And as you start this process, as you begin to really embody that future self and see the world through their eyes, you'll find that your external reality, it just starts to reorganize itself to reflect your new internal state. It has to. That's the quantum law.
So, the final question is really this. To truly create a new life, are you willing to lose your mind? Because breaking the habit of being yourself means letting go of the old mind that created your past, so you can finally truly step into the new one that will create your future.